But do you understand why the Simon Wiesenthal Center says, what is he talking about? You know, what is this guy saying? Is he advocating exterminating Jews? People are sensitive about that.
Of course, they have a right to be.
Okay, Sue from Illinois. Sue, are you on the line?
Yeah.
What's your question?
What I understand is, all of a sudden, black men come out and they're rapping. They're talking about what's going on in the community, and they have to get banned or stickers on their albums and stuff, and they're telling the truth about what's really going on in our community. But a long time ago, heavy metal, you know, like people would rap or talk about stuff, killing themselves, killing other people in their music, and nothing was done about it.
Okay, Sue, that's a good question, but we're gonna have to wait for I.S.U.P.K to answer it until after this commercial. We'll be right back.
What's going on, fam? Commander Gen.YAHANNA here. You know how to get up with you again. Here we go again. It's already started all over again. Now check this out, y'all. I don't know if you heard about this yet, but this brother this is a British rapper. His name is Wiley. Wiley, I believe his name is. Okay, he took to Instagram and Twitter and started blazing back on the so-called Jew for the way he got treated.
Crawl out from under all your little rocks and come and defend your Jewish privilege now. Come and do it. Listen, I'm not even like, don't try and say, oh, he listens to Farrakhan. I didn't need to listen to Farrakhan to know what I'm saying right now, okay? And you know what? There's no point talking about you can't paint everybody with the same brush. Remember I told you, when Judgment Day comes, who will you stand with? Will you stand with your friends? Will you stand with your family? Will you stand with your mates from down the street? Who will you stand with? Right, because when Judgment Day comes, you will stand with your people. Don't try it with me.
Twitter and Instagram facing government scrutiny in Britain and a 2-day boycott after the platforms came under criticism for their responses to posts by rapper Wiley, a pioneer of grime music. On Friday, Wiley, whose real name is Richard, posted a succession of insults and they call conspiracy theories targeting Jewish people. They like throwing that conspiracy theory in there. All of a sudden, what they consider anti-Semitism is now a conspiracy theory. Okay, and the reason they keep going to conspiracy theory now is because, of course, they know that it's getting out that the Bible shows that the real Jews were black. Now the archaeology and everything is coming out and saying it. It says it right in the scriptures, okay? It said that the earth, let me just get that real quick. So in Revelation, John the Revelator saw the woman with child. That woman with child is the nation of Israel. And that child that it's with is Christ. That's the woman, that's the child that it's with. And as this child is trying to come forth, the scripture says that the serpent was coming after us. Revelation 12:15. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And when they say he put out water as a flood, that means he put out lies like a flood to carry that woman, the children of Israel, the 12 lost tribes of the children of Israel, blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, she put that flood out, meaning them lies and them false philosophies to carry you away. That's why today blacks and Latinos are in every religion on earth, because we've been carried away with that water, but not totally carried away, as you're going to see. The 16th verse. And the earth helped the woman. When they say the earth helped the woman, meaning they dug up out the earth and it helped her. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of her mouth. Meaning the earth, the archaeology, the history, pulling out the records on Egypt, pulling out the records on the Jews. All of these things helped that woman, or helped the children of Israel find their identity, find out who they are. 17th verse. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. And that's what's coming up now. That's what you see going on now. They trying to make war with anybody that speaks against those other people being Jews. They making war because they can't hide it. The flood has not hidden it, man. So let me get back to the brother's story real quick. So here's what happened. So they call it conspiracy theory. The posts have since become the subject of a British police investigation. They said that 12 cops showed up at his door because he put these tweets out.
Listen, you sent 12 police to my house. Let me see how much power you got. Send Interpol for me. Why don't you send Interpol for me? Let me see how much power you got. Because you got power to get 12 people to my door because I've caught you out of your little trickeries. So let me see. Come and get me. Send Interpol. So I can just do that.
And now, I don't know how the full story, but this much I do know. The backstory is this, that he, of course, being involved in the music industry, come to find out they did some slick nonsense with his contracts and turned around and stole millions of dollars from him.
Listen, you sent 12 police to my house. But if one of your people bumped me for £4.5 million, do you think I could send police to their house? No, I would have to go and lick them down. Now, do you understand what I am saying? It's one rule for them and one rule for us, and it's not, bruv, I don't care. Listen, in Homerton, you got your own section. Got your own police. You got your, mate, don't try it with me.
And of course, worldwide, they've seen a long time ago that black music, Latino music, Native Indian music as well, has been profitable for them. They've made plenty of money off it. And let's not act like it's everybody. There isn't Arabs running whole music industries in America. There ain't no Chinese running whole music industries in America. Japanese and so forth. You can give them a little argument with BET now. But other than that, it's only one group, man, that's controlling all, like I brought out earlier. There's only one group controlling everything that black people see. Every TV show, every sitcom, every music video, it's one group promoting that. And if you don't open your mouth against them, you get the Nick Cannon treatment.
I'm hated now because I told the truth.
It's never hate speech when it's not.
Right.
You can't be anti-Semitic when the Semitic, when we are the Semitic people, when we are the same people that who they want to be. Mm-hmm. That's our birthright.
That's our birthright.
Now, with that new fallout for Nick Cannon, the actor, rapper, and television host fired by Viacom overnight following racial and anti-Semitic comments he made on his podcast.
Overnight backlash for Nick Cannon after these controversial comments on his podcast, Cannon's Class.
We are the Semitic people. When we are the same people that who they want to be, mm-hmm. That's our birthright.
Viacom CBS announcing they are cutting ties with the comedian.
What about the big ear corn?
Who they have had a decades-long relationship with.
You get the Deshaun Jackson treatment.
Eagles wide receiver Deshaun Jackson has apologized for sharing anti-Semitic posts on his Instagram feed, which included a quote attributed to Adolf Hitler and since deleted post expressing admiration of black nationalist and Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan. Late this morning, the Eagles issued a statement. Here's part of that statement. Quote, regardless of his intentions, the messages he shared were offensive, harmful, and absolutely appalling.
On behalf of myself, I just want to let you guys know I apologize. I didn't intend, any harm or any hatred towards any people. I'm for one, I'm for love, and I extend it every day. People that know me know I have no hatred in my heart, and I never try to, put another religion down to uplift my religion or my race. So
you get the heat Cube, Ice Cube is getting.
What is it? They've already filed a lawsuit. We know you're indignant over all of this. But what is it about these nominations that revs your engine the way it seems to?
Well, Harvey, they're saying things about me in that film that not only are not true, but they're very demeaning and degrading. And now it means that everybody all over the world is going to think that about me.
I'm talking about one man that happens to be Jewish. If this man was green, then I would still talk about it. If he was black, I would still talk about him.
I guess what hurts Jewish people is the fact that you have to say he's Jewish. Why not just say Jerry Heller? What you end up doing is saying, okay, this guy's a Jew, and you just sort of said it in your answer to this young man. You said, well, are they, as the Simon Wiesenthal Center, saying it's okay for people like Jerry Heller and Jewish managers to essentially exploit young black men? I don't think anybody would say that, but the question, is it okay for Jerry Heller and Jewish managers? Is every manager who is white Jewish? Is every manager of a rap?
No, not at all, but the Simon Wiesenthal usually backs the Jewish community.
Well, it speaks out for what it perceives as discrimination.
No, what I'm saying is this. Every time I watch the news, the perpetrator is always identified. If they can't use their names, they identify them. Young black male, this. Young white male, that. Female, this. All I'm doing is identifying the perpetrator who I felt did me wrong. Nothing else, nothing more.
And now this rapper brother here coming out saying they mishandling me. And listen, and here's why it's so ridiculous. Because everybody in the music industry, everybody black period, knows that tons and tons of black people were ripped off by white Jewish producers, man. Everybody knows this. Going back to all the blues singers, the R&B singers, they robbed all them brothers blind, man. Stole everything they had. Okay? Recently, it was a whole bunch of heat. Not recently, but going back about 20 years, it was a whole bunch of heat about NWA. Okay? And how they were ripped off by their so-called white Jewish manager. That's commonplace.
Next caller, Eric from Georgia. Eric?
Hi. How do you feel about the beer companies that pulled the commercial you endorsed because of your anti-Jew lyrics?
Well,
anti-Semitic lyrics would be a nicer way of putting it.
Well, the lyrics aren't really anti-Semitic, and I can't understand. I listen to people like the Simon Wiesenthal and Rabbi Cooper, and am I getting this wrong? Are they saying that they condone what Jerry Heller or some of these other people have done to me? Do they say that it's all right for Jewish managers to get young black kids with talent off the street without without lawyers and without people that was helping me in my benefit to make records? That's what I'm getting out of this, and I really would like to speak to Rabbi Cooper about that, because maybe, if they're getting mixed messages on that side of the table, I'm kind of getting mixed messages on this side of the table too.
These brothers and sisters signing contracts out getting nothing, while these record companies is getting tons and tons of money.
Hello, I.S.U.P.K.
How you doing?
I'm fine. I want to know, do you get along with NWA in any kind of way at all?
Well, I've talked to a couple of guys in NWA. You know, the reason that we were separated was because I felt that the person that I'm talking about on the record separated us. And
your manager.
Yeah, and I understand that certain people like Dr. Dre, you know, if I get this correct, are finally waking up and smelling the coffee, and now they're looking for their money, something that I should have told them to do, something I told them to do back in 1989.
Does that answer your question?
Very proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Same thing with Prince. He had to sue for the rights of his masters and had to give up the name. Okay, he had to give up his own name because they had set the contract up so well that he didn't even own his own name. They had to try to steal that from him. This is commonplace. But if you say anything about it, if you say these people working together and their families working together, robbing black people for generations, oh, you anti-Semitic.
Okay, but you understand.
For me to be anti-Semitic in the business that I'm in would be economical disaster and suicide. And anybody in their right mind wouldn't do that to themselves.
You anti-Semitic. Well, why is it that you can't come together and say that a whole group or a section of society is systematically taking industries from black people and robbing them in those industries, man? Why is it wrong for you to say that? So they're giving this brother absolute hell.
I'm not racist, you know. I'm a businessman.
So if you're not racist, then why did you make the following anti-Semitic comment? I'm going to quote the tweet that you put out. You said, Jewish community, you're too touchy. Anyway, Israel is not yours. Hold that.
Do I see why that could be as racism?
Should I read it again?
No, you don't need to read it again. If I read what anti-Semitism is, and it says the Jewish community is powerful within business, that's racist. I think that's silly. I don't care what nobody says.
Okay, check it out. Wiley's management company said it would no longer work with the artist, who received the top honor from the government 2 years ago for his contributions to British music. The anti-Semitic posts from Wiley are abhorrent. The British Home Secretary Priti Patel tweeted Sunday. So what is the Home Secretary involved in a rapper's free speech and statement?
He's the godfather of grime. For 2 decades, Wiley has been an influential figure in British culture. Throughout his life, he says he's been stabbed more than 20 times and has survived in a music industry where he's regarded as an enigmatic figure. That is until he posted a series of anti-Semitic comments on social media. He's been heavily criticized for insulting Jewish people and comparing them to the Ku Klux Klan. It's these remarks which have prompted condemnation from all political parties, including the Home Secretary.
I want to apologize for generalizing, number one, and I want to apologize for comments that were looked at as anti-Semitic.
It's the first time Wiley is speaking following a dispute with his former music manager John Wolfe, who is Jewish. In my interview with the rapper, he repeated similar comments to those posted on his Twitter, much of which is too inflammatory to broadcast. And despite saying he regrets the generalizations he made about Jewish people, minutes later, he also said this.
The music industry, batch of people I'm talking about, they're the ones who get to benefit from it. That's what this is all about. It's systemic racism from their side. What do you think? The system and that man and a community of Jewish lawyers and thingy have made me feel that way. Yes, they have. They've made me feel that way. Not anti-Semitic, they've made me feel angry and upset because they are showing me the systemic racism and privilege that they're allowed to use on us.
His remarks are self-defeating, and even though he denies being a racist, Wiley is still struggling to understand why his comments have now led to a police investigation.
You cannot criticize one group. You criticize just about everybody, but there's one group out here you cannot criticize. You get criticized by them, you get hell. And let me bring this part in. This came out let me get this right quick. This came out in 2018, all right? In 2018, and this is 2 years ago. March of 2018, a little less than 2 years ago. All right, about 17 months or so back. One of the chief Sephardic rabbis in Israel, Yitzhak, known for his outspoken statements, called black people monkeys, man.
לא הכל כושים מברכים, אלא צריך שיהיה כושי שאבא שלו ואימא שלו לבנים. איפה אתה תדע? אם אתה יודע, בפעם שאתה יודע, ואתה יצא להם בן קוף, יצא להם בן כך.
That's right. Called black people monkeys. Let me read some of the story. Story came out in the Israeli Times. The Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel called black people monkeys during his weekly sermon on Saturday evening. Now, this was 2 years ago. No backlash. He's still in office today. They're giving him hell now about some things. Now he might get kicked out of office. And I'll tell you why. Because now he's coming up, they're trying to bring women more into the center in their empire. They want women with higher rabbinical education and religious education and so forth, which was normally allocated to men.
We won the court case, and we're evidently finally winning the publicity, the PR case, that the state realizes that they have to enforce the court case and they can't keep us out of the hotel anymore.
Less than a week before the Israeli election, a Jewish ultra-Orthodox women's party has entered the race, challenging traditional beliefs about the role of women in society. I.S.U.P.K is putting forward 9 candidates for the Knesset. It wants ultra-Orthodox women to have the same rights as secular women, including better access to employment and education. The party's leader said, "We want to give women more support, a real person to turn to inside the Knesset, so women would know there's an answer. The state of Israel has failed to protect the Haredi women."
But now they want to bring more women in. He's inherently against it. And since he's against it, they want to now defund him and get rid of his whole organization. Because, of course, they want to push forward with women. In a minute, they'll have women rabbis and all that. Okay? They'll be giving gay rights like this. The agenda never changes. The agenda of Satan does not change, which is why they putting pressure on him now. But they putting pressure on him for that. Meaning he don't let women in there. They're going to put complete pressure on him and damn near ready to run him out of office. But if he called black people monkeys, he ain't got no problem. He ain't got no problem. Here's what it says. The Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel called black people monkeys during his weekly sermon on Saturday evening. Rabbi Yitzhak was addressing Jewish legal aspects of the blessings on seeing fruit trees blossoming. During the current Hebrew month of Nisan, and specifically whether one should bless one tree or at least 2. None of that's in the Bible. All that come from the Talmud and Lord knows where else. But they got whole ceremonies about blessing a tree and 1 tree and should it be 2 or what? That's their business. In that context, he mentioned a blessing uttered upon seeing an unusual creature, meaning a certain blessing for an unusual creature. And check out what he cited. Citing the example of encountering a black person who has 2 white parents on the street in America. So if you're a black person and you got 2 white parents, to them, that is an unusual creature. You're an unusual creature. You could be adopted. In footage aired by the Ynet news site, Yosef could be seen referring to black people by the word kushi, which in modern Hebrew has pejorative connotations. And pejorative means like derogatory connotations, like displeasing connotations. He's mentioning it, but referring to us as kushi or whatever they call it.
רואה כושי, מביא חלב ושני אוויריות. איזה כושי? שאבא שלו ואימא שלו לבנים, והוא יצא כושי. לא הכל כושי מברכים. אתה הולך בחור באמריקה, כל 5 דקות תראה כושי מביא חלב ושני אוויריות, אלא צריך שיהיה כושי, שאבא שלו ואימא שלו לבנים. רואה כושי, וחלב משנה הבריות. איזה כושי? שאבא שלו ואימא שלו לבנים והוא יצא כושי. לא הכל כושי מברכים. אתה הולך בחור באמריקה, כל 5 דקות תראה כושי ואיך חלב משנה הבריות, אלא צריך שיהיה כושי שאבא שלו ואימא שלו לבנים.
And then going on to term a black person as a monkey.
לא הכל כושי מברכים, אלא צריך שיהיה כושי שאבא שלו ואימא שלו לבנים. איפה אתה תדע? אם אתה יודע, כופה שאתה יודע, ואתה יצא להם בן קוף, יצא להם בן כך.
As a monkey. No backlash. No heat. No problem. No issue. No anti-blackism. Hell, that's what we need a new term. Anti-blackism. Because Lord knows we suffering a ton of anti-blackism in America, man. They talk about anti-Semitism. We Semites. And on top of it, we getting total anti-blackism all day, every day in this empire and around the world. And we get repercussions the minute we say something about them. But they get no repercussions regardless of what they say about us, man. Let me get something else. Check this out. Check out the image. You got Ice-Cube, Deshaun Jackson, and Nick Cannon. And this was, by the way, this was put out by the Philadelphia head of the NAACP. Even the listen, everybody want to say it. Everybody wants to say it, but of course they spent billions to make you not be able to say it while they monopolize and eat black people for lunch. While they sit around and monopolize and eat black people for lunch, they sit around also and spend millions of dollars and say, don't you say nothing about them. Don't you talk about the way they got monopolies and robbing. But that's why Nick Cannon said what he said. That's why Deshaun Jackson said what he said. That's why Ice-Cube said what he said. The whole reason Ice-Cube left NWA was because he had the so-called Jew as a manager that was robbing the group blind. Something they've been doing since the 40s with black people, man. Probably earlier than that. The 30s or 20s, who knows? They've been using those methods. Not to mention, I ain't even gonna go into their part that they played in the slave trade. That'd be for a whole nother video. Which is why nobody can be allowed to tell us what we can't and cannot say, man. Because these people are using us and making millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars off of us. And meanwhile, they monopolizing our whole lives and deciding what you can and can't criticize. You could say anything on a rap song. You could degrade our women, degrade yourself, promote drug dealing, promote violence against other black men. You could do all that. But don't you say nothing about them. That is not allowed. Well, check out what the head of the Philadelphia chapter of the NAACP said. He quoted Voltaire. For those of you that may not know, Voltaire was a French writer. Let me give you a little background on him right quick. Voltaire was a French writer. His name was Francis Marie de Arouet, or whatever, French. Better known by his pen name Voltaire, was a French writer, public activist who played a singular role in defining the 18th century movement called the Enlightenment. 18th century, y'all. That's important. Okay. Now, during the 18th century, he was trying to define, philosophy. This cat wrote plays and, did a ton of activism and tried to shape philosophy and shape the ideas of the day, okay, of the 18th century. Remember, this is 200 years, okay, after we were in slavery. And we were in the time where we were about to be emancipated. And he started to come out and, again, philosophize on society. And so here's a statement that this brother from the NAACP, the brother's name is, let me just get the brother's name. The brother's name is Rodney Muhammad. Okay, Rodney Muhammad, he's of the Philadelphia chapter of the NAACP. But here's the quote. To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize. Heavy statement. Voltaire in the 18th century was trying to say, look at who you can't criticize. That's who's ruling over you. who you can't speak against, that's who's ruling over you. That's what Voltaire was trying to say. Now, this is a philosopher, man. This is a cat from the 18th century, highly respected. Well, this brother Muhammad put a picture next to it showing a so-called Jew crushing down people underneath his hand. And on the top, as you can see in the photo, he's showing 3 of the brothers who are the latest brothers to get so much flack for standing up against them, when all 3 of these brothers, in one way or another, have been completely robbed and ripped off by their so-called Jewish bosses or, managers or whatever the hell you want to call them. In some way, shape, or form, they were either ripped off or told what they can and cannot say. This is why you got to return to Christ. This is why you need Christ back in your life, man, so that you can stop this manner of evil, man. So you can cut this manner of evil off. So that Christ could reign and every nation could be put back in their own land. And guess what? And the Most High's people will no longer ever be slaves again or be told who they can criticize for things that's actually happening to them. And let me tell you something. It's a little bit of a parallel thing with everything we do in the truth. Because, of course, the so-called Jew is not the focus. The focus is the oppression that's happening to us. He's one part of that oppression. But you can't call that oppression out, or it's like you are complaining about the white man. You're complaining about it, society. You don't want to pull your boots up. You don't want to get to work. When really you got legitimate complaints, but you are being psychologically pushed into a corner where you can't complain. These people rip you off and steal now. Wiley, the latest, these people rob you and steal you for millions of dollars and make all their families rich while they taking your money, and now you turn around and can't say nothing about them and can't say who specifically is doing it, which is why Muhammad said what he said. And everybody want to say it. I've been saying it already. Everybody want to tell the story, but you can't tell the story because if you in entertainment, if you are somebody in the sports arena and you come out and say it, then it's a problem, man. Then it's a big problem. You understand? Then it's a major, major problem. When there are things being done to us by certain groups of people. The Koreans own black health care. Black hair care. They own it. They own all our hair care service across America, man. They own it. And that's not right, man. That is not right. It is not right that they are able to own everything that goes on with black women in their hair and black men for that matter, damn near everything. Down to the combs and brushes and devices, to the hair care devices, the creams, the oils, all of that. They run in the wigs, the hair, all of that. They run in multi-million-dollar operations, financing whole countries. Not that I'm an advocate of wearing wigs. Y'all already know my stance on that. You understand? If a sister could be natural and save that money, of course, it's all the way the best thing if possible. Of course, in every case, it's not possible. Regardless, nobody should own whole industries of black people because you don't own whole industries of Koreans. You ain't got the black soy sauce factory selling millions and millions of dollars of soy sauce in South Korea. You don't have that. In Hong Kong or wherever else. You don't have that. You don't have whole television stations in Israel putting on Jewish programming. You ain't sitting over the top of all Jewish programming and sitting there and telling them what they can and can't do. And if they criticize black people, you take their show off the air. They get on the air and criticize black people. You can't do a damn thing about it because they own your damn industry, man. And that's not right according to the Lord. That's called captivity according to the Most High. And that's where Christ's return is so important, man. That's why serving the law, statutes, and commandments are the most important thing we could be doing right now, man. So to go back to Voltaire, that's a heavy statement. To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize. Whoever you ain't able to criticize, that's who's ruling over you. If you can criticize anybody, they ain't ruling over you. That rabbi called us monkeys. Ain't nothing happened to him. Why? Because you don't rule over him. But you criticize Jews, and guess what? You lose. Why? Because they are ruling over you. And the sooner you wake up, the faster we get our lives together and we stop this horrible suffering that has gone on for 400 years in this empire, man. We start to serve Christ and get ready to watch our children and families be risen out of the dirt and dust of this place and begin to sit among human beings again, man, which is where we should be at in all that we do. In all that we do. Here's what the Most High said, which is so appropriate in this mess. Jeremiah 4:29. The whole city shall flee for the noise of the horsemen and bowmen. They shall go into thickets and climb up upon the rocks. Every city shall be forsaken, and not a man dwell therein. This whole empire across the world is about to descend into madness, man. They think they got an agenda. Both sides think they got an agenda, but they don't understand the Lord's agenda is global thermonuclear war. The whole earth is going to descend into this. 30th verse, Jeremiah 4:30. And when thou art spoiled, to be spoiled means to be robbed, everything taken from you. That's what's happened to us. Everything has been taken from us, man. And now he going to do it again. But it ain't going to be us this time. It's going to be everybody that robbed us. What wilt thou do? Thou that clothest thyself with crimson. Crimson is like a deep royal red that you see. Like that red like the red Santa Claus wear, or the deep red that royalty wear. The Lord said, though you deck yourself with crimson, though thou deckest thee with ornaments of gold, though thou rentest thy face with paintings, although you got ornaments of gold and wearing all kinds of makeup, in vain shalt thou make thyself beautiful fair. Thy lovers will despise thee. They shall seek thy life. That is talking about us in the beginning. But now it's going to reverse. The Lord is going to turn around and all the nations are going to come up against each other and destroy themselves. And it happened to us because of our lust to be a part of this place. And those of you that don't wake up and return to the Most High, you're going to have some problems, man. You're going to have some major problems. 31st verse. For I've heard a voice as of a woman in travail, and anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child. That's talking about us. We them children of Israel, man, that are bringing forth our first child, meaning bringing forth Christ, man. Bringing forth a son to save us. That's why a woman is so important that she have her sons. Her sons are her defense. Her sons are the ones that save her. They're the ones that help her. They're the ones that become her help to do the heavy lifting for her. That's what her sons are for. And this nation needs a son to raise it up, meaning it needs somebody strong enough to lift up this nation out of the hell it's in. That son is Christ, man. Yahawashi in the Hebrew. Okay? As a woman in travail, middle of 31, Jeremiah 4:31. And the anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child, the voice of the daughter of Zion, that bewaileth herself, that spreadeth her hands, saying, woe is me now, for my soul is weary because of murderers, man. Murderers, man, have ravished black people, Latino people, and Native Indian people, man. And they love to bring up the statistics and say, well, black people kill more black people than white people kill black people. Your terrorism is what created black on black crime. That's what you don't understand. They act like, well, it's black on black crime. You created the black on black crime. You poured the drugs in here. You brought the weapons in here. You gave away the economy of black people after the civil rights movement to the Koreans, to the so-called Jew, to other groups around the world that eat us up alive every day. You did these things. So all black on black crime is your crime against us, as well as white on white crime. And that's not to mention the daily terrorism that's done to us by you with your stormtroopers, man, as they like to call them in the Senate, in the Congress, with your stormtroopers, man. And your stormtroopers are both Democrat and Republican, man. But the victims are blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, man. That's who the victims are. That's why the Lord said, the stranger that is within thee. Deuteronomy 28:43, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. That's why the Lord said that. You understand? That's why he said that. Like this idea of us coming together and being unified and everybody loving one another is a lie. Because the stranger didn't get in and mix among us. He got in and got above us and sat over us while we came way down into the ground. Which is why we got to return back to the Lord, so that we can be above again. The Most High is smarter than we could ever be, man. And that's why we should have obeyed the Lord. We should have stuck with what he laid down. We didn't do that, and look what it cost us. Cost us everything right now. Everything. To where some of the most powerful people in our black community have to shut their mouth like a little boy. Nick Cannon got to be one of the biggest entertainers on television, man. And he had to shut his mouth and show his teeth and bow his head like a little boy, because his masters sitting over him, just like Voltaire said, cannot be criticized because they rule over him. And that is what's got to end in this empire, man. And it'll end in the end. The Lord is bringing it all to an end. So it's coming there. Learn the truth, man. Let me show you what the Most High got to say about it. Let me show you something, man. Get Leviticus 26:38. Here's what the Most High said. And ye shall perish among the heathens, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up. That's exactly what happened to blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians here, man. We stuck in the land of our enemies, and they are eating us up. And let me tell you something. They're eating us up to the point where they're getting ready to come up with a plan. They got a very vicious plan coming up for you to get rid of you, man. And I ain't talking about vaccines and none of that. I'm talking about plans to convince you to pack your bags and get the hell up out of here, man. That's what they got planned. And they got planned that when they do that, to totally destroy you, man. Let me read some more. Leviticus 26:39. And they that are left of you shall pine away in their iniquity in your enemies' lands. That's what's happened to us. We've pined away in this place. Now, you understand? We've pined away. We've withered away in this land, man. In the land of our enemies, which is why we got to turn back to the Most High. Which, once again, why we got to turn back to the Most High. Because we pining away here. We pining away under our enemies that have eaten us up. And what it means to pine away is to go through long suffering. We've been suffering for justice, suffering to be a people, suffering for our land, suffering to be somebody, suffering and pining away to be recognized as a human being, to be part of America. We trying to make America our home and be part of America. We pining away, man. Okay? Let me get a little bit more. All right? In our enemy's land. And all middle of 39 verse, Leviticus 26:39. And also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them. In other words, all these things that our forefathers set up, civil rights bills and all this LGBT and all that, all these things we are pining away with are keeping us further and further away from the Lord. Okay? And here's what he said about it. Okay? This is the 40th verse, Leviticus 26:40. If they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers, that's important. We got to recognize that we have been wicked in this kingdom towards the Most High. And that our forefathers was wicked as hell too, to trying to be a part of this wicked society and to throw our morals out the window, man. To throw all our morals out of the window is what we've done. And that, okay, and if they shall confess their iniquities and the iniquities of their fathers and their trespass, which they have trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary to me. We walk contrary to the Lord. Lord said, don't eat pork. We trying to eat pork. Lord said, don't sleep with another man's woman. We trying to sleep with another man's woman. The Lord said, don't prostitute the daughters of Zion. We trying to prostitute the daughters of Zion. The Lord said, don't suffer a witch to live. We trying to be drug dealers. We do everything contrary to the Lord and wonder why we in this condition we in. We got to turn back to the Lord so he can get on our side, man, and do what we need to do to get ourselves fixed and out of this place. and back to our kingdom, man, which is the greatest kingdom that's ever going to be seen on the face of this earth. Look how great we are in captivity. Could you imagine how great we're going to be in our own kingdom? It's going to be ridiculous, man. Okay. 41st verse, Leviticus 26:41. And that I also have walked contrary unto them, meaning he walked contrary unto us, meaning the Lord disrupt your paths that you think you on. We selling dope, man, and going to prison and dying and all that. Thinking we on one path, we off on another path. We out there hoeing, catching AIDS and dying. Our lives, we think we on one path, but the Lord be working contrary to that path, man. Which is why you got to recognize there's two worlds you dealing with. You're dealing with a carnal world and a spiritual world. You can't see the spiritual world. You have to, the veil got to be removed from your eyes for you to see the spiritual world. There's a whole nother world going on around you. And you ignoring that world and ignoring the rules of that world and living in this world under the rules of this world. When you got to live in this world under the rules of the spiritual world, man, which is the rules that the Lord set down. That's the rules you got to walk under, and the rules you got to walk by. You can't walk by these carnal ways in this world. Let's get some more. Middle of 41. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquities. Let me tell you something. That's extremely important. Our path up out of here is to first recognize we made mistakes. And we have been too proud to recognize that. The civil rights movement, mistake. Becoming Baptist based on the Ku Klux Klan who terrorized us, who were Baptists, was a mistake. To take on the religion of the Arabs, another people other than us, was a mistake. To not go and hunt down our own identity, to instead take on their identity, was a mistake. These are mistakes that we made. And as we made those mistakes, the Lord wants us to humble ourselves and come back to him and say, man, we made a mistake. We was wrong. Let's return on to the Lord. Let's call on the Most High. Let's ask him to help us. We've been singing and dancing in churches. He ain't came helped us yet, because just for that reason. Because we walk out the church and do every manner of evil that's known to man against ourselves. Let's get a little bit more. Almost done. 42nd verse. Then I will remember my covenant. That's what the Lord said. We humble ourselves and accept our punishment for what we've done. And the Lord said this. Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob. Jacob being the father of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. He said, then I will remember my covenant. We broke the covenant, but he gave us a shot back into the covenant with Yahawashi our king. He said, I'm going to remember that covenant then. With Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Sabbath, while she lieth desolate without them. So I'm venturing into the 43rd verse. The point is this, man. They're able to rule over us, and our mouths are shut. They're able to reap millions and millions of dollars out of the talent and ability and the skills of black people in these hoods. Rapper Wiley, I.S.U.P.K, Deshaun Jackson, Nick Cannon. The list goes on and on. All your singers of the 40s and 50s, all them brothers that got ripped off, man. They lost their money. Satchmo and all of them brothers, man, who they robbed of their music, man, and owned rights to tons of them, man, and stole everything that they damn had. Fooled them. They didn't know better. We wasn't even emancipated at that point. We wasn't even a citizen back then, and they was robbing us blind left and right. And mainly one group concentrated on the entertainment world. One group of people, not everybody. You had others involved, but it was mainly one group, and everybody knows it. Which is why everybody's speaking up against it. Which is why that brother spoke up against it, the head of the NAACP. You know he ain't supposed to say nothing like that. He's not supposed to say nothing like that. But he's outraged as well, seeing the abuse that black men are taking under these people, man. Wake up, black man. You are the chosen people of the Lord. Everybody's saying it, and the Lord wants you to hear it. You are those lost 12 tribes of the children of Israel, man. Hey, I'm going to catch y'all on the next one, Hebrews. Y'all take care. Hey, leave your comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe, man.
The music industry, batch of people I'm talking about, they're the ones who get to benefit from it. That's what this is all about. It's systemic racism from their side. What do you think?
The offence and outrage of the rapper's remarks has left the Jewish community demanding action.
The alarm and offence he's caused is unimaginable, and he's clearly not sorry whatsoever. This is a man also with 500,000 Twitter followers. He needs to be charged with incitement to racial hatred. He needs to face the full force of the law.
Seen here with Prince William in 2018, Wiley was awarded an MBE for his services to music. There are calls for you to be stripped of your MBE.
Take it back. I've never had that in my possession except for a picture outside Buckingham Palace. Everything that gets done is for John Wolfe. I ain't got an award or a plaque or nothing. I ain't got nothing in my yard to show. John Wolfe's got the MBE. I've never had the MBE. It's framed in his house. Now, who was the MBE for? Really?
I want you to stay strong in the spirit of the Lord. Hey, listen, if you like this tape, hit the like button and share it, man. Hit the share button. Everybody share it to their own personal Facebook accounts. Share this video, man, to wake up brothers and sisters all over this earth. Hit the like button. Check me out Monday night. I'm live every Monday night. I bring the heavy hitters in. We do it up live right on this same channel. I'll see you then, Israel.